Welcome back to the Dutchy and Swoop Show. Preliminary final week, and it is starting to heat up.
Geez.
Mate, how you feeling?
Mate, I'm excited. I'm very excited. I know you would be.
Chomping at the bit.
Got the preliminary final tickets ready to rock and
Yes,
roll.
yeah,
I've been invited
God.
to MCC, actually, a
Yeah,
luncheon.
all right. Big baller.
Level 2, pole position, right on the wing there.
Not bad.
Should be good.
So you didn't have to wait in the Ticketek queue?
Well, I'm still waiting for Bagger, Gavin Krasiska, to send me some tickets through past players.
Oh, yeah.
I don't need them now, but don't tell Bagger. hopefully he doesn't watch this, because I'll probably sell those ones.
Man, it was crazy. I was at training yesterday when they got released. Had my laptop going, the phone going. Jumped in, was in there from about 9:30, and obviously it doesn't kick in until 10 o'clock. As soon as it kicked in, I was like 30,000th in the queue.
Oh,
I was like, oh, mate, this is amazing. Gold Legends member paying $1,200 a year and 30,000th in the queue. Got level, look, I'm not complaining, level 4 tickets, really good seats on level 4. Probably, it's like in a pocket or something. Q28 or Q29. So going with some mates.
So talk me through this. Like obviously, you got the Legends members, you got the Vic Park, all this, all the coterie groups and all the rest of it. Which ones get looked after and which ones don't? Is there something the club can do better in terms of getting these type of important tickets, finals tickets out to?
I don't think it's the club. I think it's Ticketek. Like, because so they did well with doing Geelong and Hawthorne was on Monday. The tickets, Collingwood, Brisbane was on Tuesday. Yep. I still think that they could split it up so it's not both teams going for the same spot, because you've got allocated bays and allocated seats, to the best of my knowledge. It should be, okay, Collingwood members from 12 till 2, that's what you get. Brisbane members from 2:30 till 4, that's you. So it's not so many people at the same time, but you could go even further.
So members and general public are all trying to
they're different. So the general public was at like 3 o'clock or something like that. But you could even go further and say, okay, you've got 1892 club Legends members. You've got a 45-minute window. Here's so you can get the best possible tickets. Because I've seen some people that are not Legends members or paying top dollar, getting better seats than some other Legends members. So it's just like. Where do you sort of draw? That was even like for the grand final. Like you go into the grand final ballot, and in 23, me and Dad, both Gold Legends members, we sat level 4. We could touch the roof of the MCG behind the goals. Like, look, amazing to be there, but it's just like
I find I struggle to watch it that high. Like the bottom of queue, you can probably just get away with it. As soon as you get to the top of queue, you feel like
I was
roof,
high as a kite on the no helium or oxygen up there. I was going, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, that's right.
It was.
Well, the good thing is past players get looked after, which we're up in queue now, the past players, unless you're a life member. Yeah. But during finals, we get looked after for some reason. You have to pay pretty good dollars for them. Yeah. But you get looked after in a good position. So that's something. But I reckon they should bring life membership down to about 100 games, so that so that certain people can get looked after a bit better. Do you agree with that?
Well, Fly and Craig Kelly watch this potty, so we'll
obviously all these selection moves are coming from this show, as we know. So
far out. But no, it's sold out now. Like obviously it was going to be sold out, so you're probably looking at 95,000. The last true game for fans before the big suits take over the MCG on grand final day.
That's right. No, it is, and you'll genuinely see Brisbane versus Collingwood supporters there. Probably 90% of it will be, probably 90% of it might be 20% Brisbane, 70% us, and then the 10% are your corporates and whatever. But we get to grand final day, and it's just a free for all, isn't it? Whoever's got money gets in, basically.
100%, and it's actually a shout out to the Brisbane Lions fans and mainly the Fitzroy, really. Like, I remember I was there. I don't know if did you go to the round, whatever it was, 18 game earlier this year? Yeah, went along. Yep. Yeah, and they were loud. Those Fitzroy fans or Brisbane fans, they were loud, absolutely louder than as our home game. They were louder than us, which is pathetic, to be honest. But no, credit to them. It's going to be an incredible game, and we'll dissect that game a little bit and our past game and stuff like that. But I want to know from you, prelim final week, what does it look like as a player?
I played in one only
Yeah.
preliminary final against Port Adelaide 2003. Mate, unbelievable. Like I come back from suspension. I was a naughty boy against Sydney round 21, and I was ousted for a couple of weeks for punching my old mate Paul Williams. Hey Willow, love you, mate. I come back obviously on the weekend off because we went straight through the prelim and had to play because I hadn't played games for a couple of weeks. I had to play it
for
Williamstown.
Right? Yep.
Got BOG, so I got straight back in. You're supposed to laugh, mate. I was having a joke.
You were. It was correct.
I'm not that full of myself.
No,
Come on.
It was correct, mate. I was agreeing with you. That's why I wasn't laughing. I was agreeing.
I was lucky enough to play well enough to get back into the team, and but that week, the build up to that week's unbelievable. It's nothing like the grand final week, of course, but just I feel like it's more intense in a lot of ways because it's just like Jesus, this don't stuff this up because you just want to make a grand final, because that week that you treated like a rock star or a Hollywood superstar that week, and you got the parade and this, that, and the other, media all over you, and it's just the hype is out of control. So trying to forgetting about the premiership for a sec, trying to get into the grand final and being part of like the biggest week in AFL, that's what you're fighting for in that particular week. So it is a intense sort of feeling. You got that little sickening sort of nervous feeling in the bottom of your stomach all week, and you just can't get it out of your stomach. And you just have to think of other things and try and keep busy as you can. Don't sit around, don't read papers, don't listen to the radio.
The hardest thing in this age.
It's impossible in this day and age. You got your phone, you're flicking through social media, and everyone's predicting BOGs and best on grounds and most goals and all that sort of stuff. So, look, it's a busy week. It's no doubt about that. We handled it really well. We didn't handle the grand final week well the following week, but we had a big win over Port Adelaide. I think it was 45 points.
Yeah, it was something 40-something
like
points.
That.
That was the year we beat Adelaide as well in the qualifying, right? We versus
Adelaide was...
Or was that 2002?
Yeah, Adelaide was 2002.
Oh, right.
We beat in the prelim, I think that was as well.
Oh, no, we beat Brisbane in 2003 in the qualifying.
2003 qualifying. We beat them comfortably.
Yeah.
I didn't get to play in that because of the suspension. And then we sailed straight through. So I think we went into that grand final actually, $1.75, $1.85 favourites.
I remember, I was...
And we thought, we knew there was a few injuries in the Brisbane change room, so we were quietly confident, and we just got hammered.
Do you think, and I know this is digressing a little bit, and if we make the grand final, we'll talk about the 2003 grand final, but do you think that's that plays a part? Like, okay, we're favourites going into this grand final. We know that, was it Lappin? Someone had broken ribs going into
Lappin
that
had
game.
A broken rib. I think he punched his lung in that game, actually. I think it might have been me that punched his lung. I just wondered that because I did give him one during the game at one stage. But
does that play in your mind? And did it have an ill effect on you, do you think? Well, evidently so, but...
Yeah, I think it sort of does and it doesn't. Like, they would have been just thinking... they've beaten us in the qualifying final. We've got a heap of injuries. Let's just throw the world out and be as physical as we can and intimidate and just see what happens. Whereas we're probably thinking we just have to play well, don't stuff it up, play well, don't stuff it up. And you sort of got, too many of those players are thinking negatively about don't muck this up. And then you go in with the wrong mindset. Grand finals are grand finals. Prelims are prelims. Anyone can win on their day.
100%,
It's footy. We've all got arms and legs. We're all good players. We've all got talent. It's who is efficient, who is hardest. It's a war of attrition. You just got to keep banging bodies and keep getting up, and then have those big moments where you clean and hit targets and kick goals. And when you do that, it just lifts everyone around you. And it's all about the big moments in these games. You've got to get them right. We stuffed up some big moments early in that game, whereas in the Port Adelaide game in the prelim the previous week, we were on fire early.
Took the chances really well.
We took our chances. We're getting the ball going our way. And they looked a bit hesitant. We knew, we sort of saw that we had the edge early, and we just sailed along with it, won easily in the end.
Yeah, and that's what you're hoping for. We haven't had a prelim like that for a long. I think the last prelim where we won comfortably might have been 2010 against Geelong, where we won by it was about 40 points, and that's when the Collingwood chant really started there.
Yeah.
You remember the Lee Brown bounce,
Right. Oh, yeah,
the
that's
magic
right.
Lee
Yeah.
Brown bounce.
When that sort of stuff starts to happen in a final,
You
kick
go,
a goal from the
okay, hang on a
boundary,
second.
someone has a Tim May tweak of the off spinner and it goes straight through the middle of the goals, and you take a one-handed mark in the middle of the ground, you get a couple of free kicks that go your way, you just go, we're home.
This is,
in your head, you're going, jeez, this is our day, we're home, and the opposition are going, shit, what's going on? And then they miss a couple of goals down the other end, and that's what happens in these games. It's a real mental game, but to try and stay in the game when things are going against you, or to try and make sure you take advantage of those moments when everything's going your way is critical also.
And I think that's what Collingwood do really well, especially with Fly at the helm. Just taking our moments and trying to stay in the game. Like, my mind goes to the 22 prelim. Even though we lost that, we were down by quite a lot in that last quarter.
Yeah.
And, back then we still kind of are, but back then we were the comeback sort of kings. That's what we were doing. And
that's right.
And we were coming back, Nick kicked that goal and we started rolling. Ultimately we lost, but we kept ourselves in with a chance, and it's 3 years on, it's 2 years on from that flag. They'll be burning from not making finals last year. We go to Adelaide, we demolish Adelaide. They go out in straight sets, which was nice to see. So it's set up for
I think we're set for
game.
this. You feel like we're set for it. No one's thinking about those 5 games that we lost at the end of the year when you're rolling into a prelim. And just the way we won against Adelaide, you dare say with some of those older bodies, we'll be thankful for another week off.
Yeah, that's
as well.
huge.
And they trained pretty hard, didn't they, last week?
Yeah,
and
they
then
did.
this week it's sort of nearly like they freshened up a bit this
like
week.
a big Friday session, open training where they just did match sim for most of it. And they got absolutely smashed there.
Yep.
Like, I was at training on Tuesday. It was just a real light session. They'll have an open training when this potty comes out. It'll be Thursday morning, so they'll have an open training today and Thursday morning.
I was there yesterday training as well.
Yep.
But I just missed most of it. I got there a little bit later.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I did say, one of my mates was down there watching training as well, and he didn't think Bobby Hill trained that well.
Interesting.
What were your thoughts?
I thought he trained well. Like, from what
maybe you're a better judge than
what I was seeing was that they were in the match sim towards the end, like that, just that easy sort of transition match sim.
Because only a lighter session. This one is fairly light session.
Yeah, fairly light
say?
session. Yeah. They were trying to use him at every chance that they could get. They were kicking the ball to him. They were getting him to do his things.
Yeah.
He did a couple of nice things. He didn't
was he training? Did they have the white and the black?
He was in the whites.
So he was in the reserves outfits.
Yeah. He didn't train the house down, but he was doing nice things. They were looking for him, maybe to just see what he can do in that scenario. We'll see on the open training session. I'm not going to post this or anything, so this is a bit of a exclusive, I guess. I've got some intel that Bobby is pretty sure that he's getting picked for the side
this week.
That he'll be a sub.
So media are saying little to no chance.
Yeah,
social media, everyone's pumping up saying he's going to be out. He's trained pretty much for 2 weeks with the white Guernsey in the reserves Guernsey. And you're saying that someone on the inside, a friend of a friend.
Yep.
Friend of the source has told you.
Yeah, I'm hearing that Bobby's playing as a sub. Is what I'm hearing. It could change, but
play.
That's what I'm hearing.
He's an All-Smith medalist. He's so important to the team. I mean, even if you were to sub him, you got to have him. You got to find a way.
Yeah, and it's the biggest, arguably the biggest game of the season. Like, it is. It's the penultimate game of the season. Like, why? And this is no discredit to Steele. This is no discredit to Parker, because they are going to be absolutely incredible for us. Yeah, but we have the healthiest list that we've had all year. Yep. Jeremy Howe's going to play. So, the only guys on the injury list now are VFL players. How are you not playing your best 23?
Obviously, I don't, see what's going on the inside. And I did see Jeremy Howe training, and he looks good. He's running on top of the ground. Yep. He looks free. He looks ready. Yep. But he was also ready the last time he played and the time before. Yeah. And as you know, like, he's a Tassie boy. He's one of my favourites. He's absolute superstar of the game, and he's a leader of that club, and he's just so important. And he's one guy who can get the ball half back and shift lanes just a blink of an eye.
He's very smart.
Straight there, and then open the game right up. The way we were playing in 2023, he helps with that type of ball movement, which is critical in big finals when you can't find gaps. But in saying all of that,
it's a risk, 100%.
Is it a risk they need to take?
Yeah,
at this point
they
in time?
do.
You reckon they need to take
it? Yeah,
okay.
because he could be. Look, he could be the difference. Like, who knows? We saw what Brisbane's forwards were able to do to Gold Coast, and we'll talk about that in a second. And from what
do you think? Yeah. Do you think that maybe they're thinking, even if he breaks down, we'll win, and then, but even better, if he doesn't break down and he gets through and we win, then he's ready and we know he's going to help us win a grand final.
Have to.
And we're going to need him to beat Geelong or Hawthorne.
Yeah, have to. Like in this time of the season, you've got to. It's not like he's coming back from a broken leg or something that's going to hinder him or his shoulder or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I know, he's been subbed out the last 4 times, but on AFL 360 yesterday, Jeremy Howe, he was saying that he has been put through a rigorous, more rigorous than he has from his last couple of injuries. Okay. They're really pumping it into him. And it reminds me of, I think we spoke about it, the Taylor Adams incident in 2018 where... Yeah. Sorry, not 2018, 2023, where he did his hamstring. They tested him up until the captain's run, and it either popped again or he strained it, whatever it may have been. And they said, no, we're not going to risk you. They'll do that to Howie all the way through. They'll put the runs on the board for him. Yeah. But he's such an important player, and even just his, like you said, his footy IQ and the way he leads that back line, and the way that we're playing at the moment, I think you almost just have to.
My only concern is also because he technically, when was the last time he had
I think around 16 or 17.
2 or 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
So you're talking 8 weeks. Let's say it's 8 weeks, and you're going into. I don't care how good you are. You're off 8 weeks. I know you've been running, but you haven't got match practice in. So his general fitness is going to be okay. His match fitness isn't going to be great. And you're coming into a prelim. Usually, like I found, and everyone's different, I found that first up I was usually fresh and felt pretty good.
Yep.
Didn't run it out that well, but felt for 3 quarters I usually feel pretty good. Yep. But it's the following week, which is grand final week, that you don't back up well.
Because your body's not used to it?
Because your body's not conditioned. Yeah. You get the delayed onset muscle soreness that carries you for 3 or 4 days into that week. And then it just takes the edge off you for the following week. And I always found second up off a big layoff, I was terrible.
Interesting.
And then and third week would be okay, and then I'd build it back up again from there. Yeah. So everyone's different. I mean, he's endurance athlete as well. He's a lighter body than probably what I was as well in terms of, he's leaner and all the rest of it carries a little bit less, obviously meat on him. So, who knows? They know what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Better than us. We're just seeing it from afar.
Yeah, exactly
and we've
right.
we
don't
in
have
some
the GPS
ways,
numbers and stuff.
we're just guessing a lot of this stuff. So we put faith in Fly and the obviously strength and conditioning staff, and hopefully they'll make the right decision.
They'll roll those dices. Look, before we talk about the semi-finals that just happened, new piece of art. Yes. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, Jordan Romeo, my good mate, actually Jordan Anastasakis, who's a mate of mine and also one of my players at Marby. He started a new business.
Yep.
Jordan Romeo, check it out. He's got all the AFL prints. It's like digital prints.
Yeah, that's actually
they look pretty cool.
Really
because the one thing is, my wife won't let me put up the Collingwood memorabilia because she reckons it's daggy for the house. And in some ways it is, unless you've got your own pool room specific to that. Yeah. So, but these look really cool.
Yeah, they're pretty. That's pretty sick.
Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it?
So hopefully,
he looks kind of like a little bit of a superhero or some sort with.
That would have been. That's the when he kicked the goal, right, at the grand final.
Right, that's right. It is too.
Yeah,
it looks awesome. Are we going to talk about go back to that round 21 game against Brisbane and just have a bit of a chat? Because there's a couple of things that I picked up that should give us a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, 100%.
If you look at in that game, Markov played and I thought he'd made a couple of mistakes.
Yep. That was when they chucked him forward as well.
Yeah,
for no reason. They had Bobby on the bench and they chucked him forward.
That's right. And he got a couple of goals with turnovers. Will Hoskin-Elliott played in that game. He's obviously retired now. Charlie Dean played, and I thought he played fairly poorly.
Yep.
In fact, I think a couple of those goals which Morris kicked were on him as well. Jordan De Goey only just come back in and was subbed off as well in that particular game. And we had no McCreary, Cox, Frampton. And remember, Maynard was out for a bit, and I think it was only his second game back or something like that. So he wasn't at full fitness as well. a couple of the matchups weren't quite right because they didn't have Frampton and Maynard had to play taller, whereas Maynard and I think, I can't remember who played on Rayner, but it wasn't Maynard. And I think Maynard would have to go to Rayner when he plays forward now, and that's a much better matchup for us. So there's a few things that are going to help with our team balance massively as well. And there's a few excuses in going, no, we got beat by 27 points in the end. But I'll go back to the start of the game. Like, it was twice when we kicked the ball in, and we had no one on the goal line. They took two really intercept.
Oh yeah, they were.
McStay started on the bench, and we had Membry and Mihocek there, and they were just getting outmarked by Andrews, and a big fella fought in behind the footy early, and it just looked so obvious that we needed a Cox or someone there, or at least Darcy Cameron to make sure he gets to the line. But he can't do everything all the time.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, so Coxing helps him.
Yeah, so there was that. Elliott was competing against Andrews a couple of times on entries as well, and he played a dynamite first half, if you remember. And it'll be interesting to see how they play him, because they're not overly tall up forward at the moment, are they, Brisbane? Without
and Andrews had a really good game against the Suns. So like we remember 23 when we put. It's not going to happen now, but Billy Frampton.
Do they go it again? I know Frampton's really important behind the footy. I love Frampton,
and that's why Howe would be a huge in, because it gives you that flexibility.
I would be tempted to look at it. The only thing that you could counteract it with is the fact that Cox is there. Andrews would have to go to Cox.
You would think.
I don't know if they've got anyone else that's big enough and tall enough
to run with
strong enough and smart enough to be able to bring the ball to ground. So maybe that's. You don't need it when you got Cox down there potentially as well. But there was just like and then you go to the fast forward to I think there was some early in the game. You had Morris got a couple of easy goals. There was 2 goals, Bailey and also Morris with ducking. They got tackles, which I thought when you looked at the replay, they're ducking the head, mate. There's your prior opportunity gone. That's holding the ball.
Which is and in finals they kind of tidy that up.
2 goals there. In the last quarter with 13 and a half minutes to go. Perryman took an intercept. Mark didn't even look for the open side. Hoskin Elliott was on for the switch of play. We have to win the game. We're 21 points down at this stage. Didn't even look. We went long down the line and didn't score.
Back.
Didn't
that
score
was
out of it.
From memory, not to sort of budge in, but that from memory was the game where Perryman spoiled the ball and it went out, they got a free kick for it as well.
Oh, that's right. There's a couple of really random things like that. Bobby Hill took that hanger on Zorko, remember, in his first game back as a sub. And
kicked a nice goal,
Did well in the last quarter. You'd like to have him on for a bit more minutes, obviously. And there was one late in the game which Maynard got tackled by Rayner around the head, and he landed flat on his head. And then Logan Morris picked the ball up, and he's the one that got that high tackle on the second one. Maynard literally looked like he could have got concussed. It was unbelievable. So I got the violin out. I'm playing it pretty hard. But you look at it with those changes, with some of these things that could go. Like, I'd be surprised if these type of decisions are made easily by umpires in a big game like a prelim. They get shit scared in these games, and they just throw away the whistle.
They do,
I would rather that happen than just give goals away to either team, because I hate seeing, like, you think about it, you do a pre-season all the way through November, all the way through, and you get to a prelim or a grand final, and to be decided by the man in green, would be, absolute travesty for either team. Let the game go. Let's just play for it.
And they usually do let it flow. Another tidbit from that game, if memory does serve me correctly, was that they chose to go with Ned Long run with Lachie Neale. And that was Ned Long's worst game of the season. That was a game where he had 9 disposals and 7 of them were turnovers or something like that, because he was trying to do a run with Neale. Now there's no Neale, and Ned Long's back into form. Right. Jordan De Goey as well. But the biggest one that you did mention was it was only Darcy Moore and Charlie Dean in the back line.
That's right.
And that that was when Darcy Moore, and I think Fly came out and said it in a presser, where he was trying too much to focus on helping Dean out, and it just cooked him. And now with Frampton back in form, Jeremy Howe coming back in.
He was doing a bit of the bulk work. We obviously need one strong, tall player that understands his role really well, and that is dour enough and clever enough to play their role, so Darcy Moore can go about his game. Dean wasn't quite there in that. The
Yep.
reliance on him to do that role at his stage of his career was a bit unfair in a way, but we needed him to stand up. He wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
A couple of times I noticed he presses quite well, but he's not quick enough to get back.
Yes,
Or not quick enough. There was one moment in that game I remember he probably could have nearly, if he had shopped early and got back quicker, he was really covering good space, but then he didn't get back in the aerial contest, and they took an easy uncontested mark goal.
Yep.
And I thought if that was Frampton, he would have been going bang.
Yeah, he would have body on the line sort of stuff.
And touch more courageous aerially. So, so some things that, it's a completely different game. 100%. You can throw that game out the window because of all of these things and reset. But you know what? Brisbane are a good side. We've seen that, and they've got some quality players, regardless of having the big fella up forward, Hipwood, and also Lockie Neal out. They've still got quality everywhere, haven't they?
Yeah, it was what they did to the Suns. Like, we both tipped the Suns last week, and what they were able
0-2
to do
for me last week.
Yeah,
I think I tipped sides I wanted to get through rather in a way. But I thought the Suns would hold up much better than they did. They looked cooked after halftime.
Yeah, like young. This is the first time they've ever played in September. So just those young sort of bodies. But
that's right.
What Brisbane, the stark contrast between Brisbane's game against Geelong, where Geelong just out pressured them, out muscled them, and Gold Coast didn't apply any pressure.
Yeah.
Like, they started off really well, the Suns, but then didn't apply any pressure, and Brisbane just were able to do what they wanted. Like, ideally, you wanted this game, even if Brisbane won, you wanted it to be within 2 or 3 goals and bodies being hit. Brisbane just played bruise-free football.
Well, Gold Coast, I noticed, and it might be just a default in defence when a young team gets put under pressure. What Brisbane trying to do, especially their front 3 players, they lengthen. They head north in transition when they get the ball back, and they lengthen quite quickly. And it's really hard to come forward and defend and chew up that space and put frontal pressure on the opposition. Whereas what Geelong do is they've already got a loose out the back. Yeah. So if they get caught out, they can just push someone forward, and then Stewart takes his man. And so they press hard, and then they force the opposition to feed by hand or kick over your hands, and then force that pressure and go to work with their aerial game in behind the footy. Suns were moving back to defend. Geelong are just so good, and so, I suppose so certain about the way they want to play that they just condense numbers, press in, and then put mass pressure on the opposition, which they did to Brisbane. They forced them into that handball game. Suns weren't able to do that. They were a little bit old school in their defence, especially in the second half when they got tired.
Yes,
and
they were.
They got worried about them. Then they were a little bit too one-on-one rather than pressing in hard, I thought, from looking at the bird's eye in the media cameras.
Yeah, it was. It was a good game. They're like, look, you got to give credit to Brisbane. Dunkley with 18 tackles is just obviously unheard of. It's a world.
Will
record.
Ashcroft is as good as any midfield in the comp. He needs to be watched. He runs on top of the ground. Mate, he's elusive. He's very skillful left and right. I'd nearly send Ned Long to him.
Yeah, to like a hard tag.
I wouldn't say it has to be hard, but I'd say when they get into their front half, because he's so dangerous inside 50 when he gets the ball inside 50 and around goals. He's good for a goal a game, maybe 2 in a big final. That could really hurt you. He's so crafty. But I'd say backward to centre, get on your bike and get used, and all the rest of it. And if he gets a few touches back there, it's not the worst thing in the world. Yeah. But as soon as you get into they get in their front half, I would say squeeze him up, body on body, just wear him down. He's only a little fella, whereas Ned's, I'd just be every time you get a chance to bumper bar him and just take him away from where he wants to move. When he wants to set up a stoppage, just push him away, bump him again. Yeah. When the ball gets thrown up, bump him again. Close him up, hold his hips, just make his life impossible for him, because if you let him run without the body contact, he'll be running. In 5 minutes ago in the third quarter, he's still running on top of the ground. In the last quarter, he's still running on top of it. But if you can bang the body over and over, just wear him down, war of attrition, he'll get to halftime and go, I'm not travelling as well as I usually do here, and maybe you might starve him of a few extra possessions at the critical moments of the games.
Was it the second quarter or the third quarter? He had just I think it might have been the second. Kicked 2 goals in that quarter, in one of the quarters against the Suns. But on the inverse of that, do you think they put a Dunkley straight onto Nick or something?
I think they probably will. I would have thought they would. They'd be silly not to.
Yeah. Because Dunkley monstered Rao last week.
Yeah. I mean, he's good enough. I mean, the game has changed a little bit now where he can be just dour at stoppage and hard body on body. Berry's gone to him in the past as well. I think it'll be a team effort still on them. They'll share that role a little bit, but at times I think Dunkley will go pretty hard on him, I would have thought.
Yeah, it's like, and, you know, we got to think, this year's so long. We beat them at the Gabba convincingly. We were able to stop their run, their gun, and then they did the same to us. You know, just recently. So we're 1-1 going into this prelim. Never played the Lions in a prelim before. So this will be we've played them in 3 grand finals and 1 qualifying grand final.
Yeah, crazy.
No prelims. So it's just going to be, man. Like I'm excited. Like you said, there's a bit of a pit in your stomach. Like, you know, you're obviously nervous. It's second last game.
This isn't going to be easy. If anyone thinks it's going to be easy, prelims are, generally speaking, usually the hardest game because of the things we were talking about earlier on. They're an unbelievable team. Yeah, they've got a couple of gaps at the moment. I think we'll get hold of them, but I don't think it'll be easy. I reckon it'll be like late in the third quarter. We might kick a couple, maybe kick away in the last a little bit, but it might be just our freshness, our ability to run out the game a little bit better, which will land us on top at the end of the day.
And I think, you know, people are saying, I've seen, you know, Collingwood supporters saying, you know, no Neil, no Hipwood, no XYZ, we'll be laughing. But it's like, it reminds me of the 2011 grand final where Podsiadly went out with that shoulder.
That's right.
And Hawkins just had the game of, well, obviously that was his coming of age game. Because you go,
and Ben Reid went in with that bit of a groin, if you remember, and he just couldn't.
We didn't put Tarrant onto, that's a whole different podcast story. But it's those things where one of your good players goes down in Neil. Rayner had a great game, even when he goes into the midfield.
Some superstars there. You've got the Ashcroft boys. You've got obviously Zach Bailey stepped into the middle and he's dynamite. Rayners can do both forward and mid. He's the one for me. I'd say Will Ashcroft needs to be targeted and Rayner. And I reckon Maynard goes to Rayner. And I'd go Ned Long. I know he's a bigger player, but I'd just really work his body, Will Ashcroft, as much as you can in the first half and wear him down. Because remember, last time, I think, up until 5 minutes to go, I don't know how many he ended up with, but Will Ashcroft had 9 touches with about 5 minutes to go in that game last time around. Really got him going in that last quarter. So we need him tired by that stage.
Yeah, and, you know, he's obviously one of their best players last week and what really spurred them on. What about their forwards? So we saw Ty Gallup kick a couple of goals. There's obviously no Hipwood. Logan Morris, like you said earlier, ate us up that last time.
What, he kicked 6-1 or something?
It was ridiculous. And I think that Henry Smith kicked 3 goals, but he obviously won't be playing. Yeah. But they've got Lohman, who's nursing a pretty bad ankle, they reckon. Yeah. But he still kicked 3 goals with his newly shaved head. Yeah. How do you see that sort of working out?
Well, they've got a smaller forward line, haven't they? They're more dynamic. Even Logan Morris, probably, I don't know what he is, maybe 6'3 max, 6'2", 6'3". He's really good overhead and mobile. So it'd be interesting to see how we set up on them. Yeah. Because you're looking at it and you're going, well, the young fella, number 4, we're just speaking about Gallup maybe more goes to him. So he can hedge his bets and zone off at the right times. And then Frampton would go to Morris. But then Frampton, is dynamic at ground level. You know, but, you know, he is an aerial player. So maybe that's why I'm thinking, do you take calculator risk and throw Frampton onto Andrews? And then you've still got the setup back there anyway. But I think with the way they're playing, you don't want to mess around with things too much. Yep. Defence is as good as they've been going all year at the moment. And, you know, Frampton's playing some seriously good footy back there. It would be a bit of a risk because if it didn't come off and you lose the game, everyone's going to go, what sort of... Why we're playing I don't think Fly will do that. I don't think he needs to do it. He's always got it up his sleeve. He looks like he's getting on top. Yeah, if he needs to, 100%. Yeah. And they'll probably do the same with Darcy Moore as well. The one thing I saw with Andrews the first time, watching it from a bird's eye view in the grandstand, he just goes from side to side. He doesn't even look at who he's playing on, Andrews. He'll go to wherever he thinks the ball's going, side to side, gets to the aerial ball drop, and just plonks himself there and goes, you know, as soon as the umpire goes, play on, he knows exactly where that ball's going to go, long down the line. And he's just there every time. And he was just too good for us in that first half last time around. He needs to have someone on him every time the ball comes inside 50. I know it sounds silly because you've got to get off your defender. Yep. but he's just too good at reading the game. We're going to make sure it's 1-on-1 when the ball goes in.
And speaking of, players that perform on the big stage like Andrews has, Mason Cox is going to be better for his run against Adelaide.
Yep.
That was his first game in however long.
Yep.
We can never forget that 2018 prelim, but it wasn't even just that where the 8 contested marks or whatever, he kicked a couple of goals. The 2023 prelim against the Giants, he kicked pretty sure he kicked the only goal in that last quarter. Took a good mark against Sam Taylor, went back from like 50, 45 metres out, kicked an incredible goal, got up in Sam Taylor's face.
That's right.
They'll be pretty, shitting themselves with I know it's ironic to say shitting themselves with Mason Cox up forward, but with no Dan McStay, you're resting Mason Cox there, Membry.
They'll probably have also in their mind those few things that you spoke about, but also King last week got on top of him last week,
really early,
and then on Gardner, who I just think is a VFL player, playing AFL footy. He can be exposed. He's the one we need to expose. Mihocek couldn't expose him last time because he was coming off that injury. He just couldn't. He couldn't cover ground as much as he normally would. But he's maybe going to be forced to go on to one of those players playing a bit better. Maybe he does go to Mihocek. Maybe goes to Membry a little bit as well. What was the question? What was the question here?
Just Mason Cox's
Mason
presence.
Cox, his presence. They'll be worried about the fact that he's played in finals before, and the fact that King had destroyed him early in that game. They're going to go, well, it worked when they played him on King and just played a bit more dour, but then still just got off him at the right time. So they don't want to get Collingwood to get off to a great start. Maybe he just goes straight to Cox straight away and just make sure they try and keep the game there.
Would you? Now this is not going to happen. So this is a very much hypothetical. Would you try and stretch the defenders and bring in a McStay if you could, if you knew it was going to work? To have 4 big tools out down back?
You could potentially do it, but I think it's going to be too much, isn't it? I think the only thing would be bring McStay in if Mihocek's toe's
doesn't
not
come
right.
up.
Because otherwise you got Membry, who's, I know he's only 6'2", 6'3", but he's not quite as quick and dynamic as maybe what he used to be, even though he's playing solid footy. Mihocek's got the toe, obviously. If you were to play them two, it just takes that pressure game away from the way we want to play and hold that footy in. When you got Cox up there, sometimes you only need one key. Because as long as he positions himself well, if you are forced to play that territory game and kick it long to position in congestion, you're going to get a good contest from a 6'10" player. And then all you need is high quality crummers at ground level and players that are prepared to pressure the opposition, tackle hard, and hold that footy in.
And that's the thing. Like I'm pretty sure the last time I checked, it's going to be 13 and rain.
Did see that, yeah.
So this is why I'm just so adamant. If Bobby does play, I feel like I know he's played one game in whatever it is, 80 days, whatever the bloody stat is. He needs to start. And then sub him off if he's not doing well, because you want that, the electricity that he brings and just the crumbing, works perfectly in tandem with Mason Cox, especially if it's a rainy day. Schultz can do it, Elliott can do it. Bo hasn't really done it too much because he's more playing in the midfield and stuff. But you add Bobby Hill to that. I still think they're playing mind games with the Lions.
Yeah, this will be so interesting to see which way this goes. Because in my head, I'm thinking the obvious is if Howe's right, he plays. But Bobby, just because he has missed so much footy this year, and from a cultural point of view, it's a better look to play him as a sub and not just go, hey mate, we're just going to hand feed you a preliminary final, even though you haven't been here for half the year. So culturally, I think that's a better look and a better feel for the playing group. And if he proves himself in that time, then he starts in the grand final. But in saying that, we're here for keeps. We want to win the game of footy. If you lose the game, you're not in a grand final, and you go, we could have used Bobby earlier. But I just think, actually, what would I do here?
Yeah, you're the coach.
What would I do? I would start Bobby. And I would probably have if Jeremy Howe's right, I'd have him as sub.
Okay.
And then I would bring him in. If the game gets on your terms a little bit earlier than you expected, I'd get someone off and get him on earlier, say, so he can play nearly half a game and then prove his fitness for the grand final. And that is a bit of a risk in itself, because if you bring him on, you take someone off and bring him on and he does an injury, then you're 2 players down, basically. And that could hurt. But I would take that risk and just back yourself in. And if you're going to win a grand final, you need Jeremy Howe, fresh enough, and body being able to withhold the rigours. You've got to find a way to test it, but not test it too much to break him down. So that's the way I'd go. And unfortunately, probably Parker and still miss out.
Yeah, it's like we've said for a few weeks now. There's always going to be one sort of heartbreak. We've seen Dan McStay, get dropped on the eve of finals, reminiscent of Johnny Noble and these young players. I think the beauty about these young players is that they'll know that they'll have another chance soon, and they'll bide their time.
That's right. And the one thing to consider though as well, if Parker comes out and then obviously Howell's on the bench, for instance. Yeah. Then you're left with a gap at half back for a fair
Parker's
chunk of the game.
Incredible.
Yeah, he's going to be stiff. I liked his game against Adelaide. Yep. Jeez, you'd nearly play him, wouldn't you? Like, if it was Mick Malthouse, I'm telling you right now, Howe would not play. Howe would not play. Bobby would come in, I reckon, as a sub, and Howe wouldn't play, and he'd play Parker. Because you remember what he used to be like. He would go with the winning lineup. He'd always go with the winning lineup. But he loved his Indigenous boys as well. He always gave them, a little bit of leadway and got behind them and was a real father figure for those guys as well. So he'd 100% play Bobby, and Howe wouldn't get a look in.
Yeah,
that's how he would. It'd be interesting asking that.
Yeah,
see
get
if
him,
I'm right.
Get him on the phone. Call him up.
I'll text him later.
Yeah. What would he do? Yeah, that's. Yeah, you're right. He was very, very set in his ways, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Nick?
He was.
Man.
He was. But you think about those grand finals, 10 and 11, more so 10. Josh Fraser was playing twos, Tarkin Lockyer. Yeah. Paul Medhurst 2 years ago kicked 50 goals, was all Australian and played well the year before as well, and was playing VFL. Yeah. So he was happy to leave guys out of the team if he thought it was best for the team, and he didn't care about reputations. He wanted to win. He went with what he thought would win the game.
Far out.
And he'd always give the benefit to guys that did the work and helped them get that win in the previous games versus the player with the reputation.
Yeah, so that's, man, I'm just glad we're not on that selection committee. They'll be deliberating up until the pretty much the final say, which is at 6:20 on Thursday when it gets set. Let's talk about the Geelong Hawthorne Prelim now. That is a modern day epic. These guys hate each other. Yeah, they've played in so many good games, and that will be the Friday night. Yeah, how do you think that one's going to go?
Oh, I reckon it's a fair contrast in game plans here, which makes it really interesting. Yep. I don't think it's going to be easy for Geelong because the way they play Hawthorne in control, great skills from behind, controlling the game. If they can't get the game on their terms and get that fast ball movement, their forwards bubble up. They're small forwards. They bubble up high. They dissect. They hit targets, and they wait for the right time, and they find that gap, and then they get it long into position, and then their small forwards, crumb and get on their bike, and they kick to space a lot of the time.
Yeah, they're really good at that.
So that'll draw the Cats defenders up. When you look at the way that probably Brisbane and Suns play, they stretch you earlier. And that sort of turn and go to the position, and there's already forwards that have lengthened and head north. So whereas Hawthorne bubble right up, get space out the back, and they're crumbing forwards like the Watsons and the Moores and these guys. They're just so dynamic at ground level, and they're dangerous. So Geelong will be probably coaching. Don't get sucked up too far with them. If they get up too far up the ground, just let them go. Hand them over to a winger or a midfielder. Hold your defensive layers in place. And if we can get enough pressure on the ball, it's going to play into our hands. So if they can put on the sort of pressure they put on against Lions, maybe they can certainly win this game of footy. But I just think this is a 50-50 game.
I was just about to say the same thing. This game could literally go either way. It's going to be it's going to be so good. Like what Hawthorne were able to do to Adelaide. And if they had kicked straight, Hawthorne, I think they ended up kicking 16 or 17 points. Like if they had kicked straight, they would have even put them harder into the ground.
That's right.
And I think Geelong, they'll be on not on the back foot because they obviously do have that week rest and they've got a really, really good team.
Yeah.
But as much as I hate both of those teams.
Yeah.
Really hate both of those teams. But I think Hawthorne might.
Yeah, I've got a funny feeling about this. Be interested to see how Hawthorne handle the. I know it's not travelling too far, but they've had obviously a couple of big finals.
Yep.
And then the freshness versus they're still a fairly young group as well.
The Hawks.
Hawks. Yep. I know they brought some experienced players in last year, but they're still a fairly young group and inexperienced in terms of finals. They played in one last year or two last year. They won one.
Two,
won one, lost one. So they're still fairly inexperienced in finals. This is their second time in finals around. So it'd be interesting to see how they hold up when they're not as fresh as Geelong on the big stage. But you got the funny feeling they're built for finals, this group.
Yeah.
And they'll be really excited about this game. And I think I've got a funny feeling that, I actually can't pick a winner on this one as well. I'm thinking maybe Geelong by a goal, but I don't think it's going to be easy.
Look, whoever it is, if we make it, we're not going to know if we make it through or not until they play. I just hope they beat the shit out of each other. Yeah. Couple of suspensions, couple of injuries.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the other thing is when you look at the Geelong side of things as well, I mean, they had the softest run home of all time.
They really did,
Then they had a week off with everyone else. Then they had a Brisbane, which was a solid game, but they still won fairly comfortably in the end. They didn't have to overexert themselves to a certain point of view, but to a certain degree, sorry. And then they had another week off, and then they're into it again, whereas Hawks are match hardened, finals match hardened, which is so important this time of the year. And you could say the same about Collingwood in a way as well. Although I think our game was probably a touch harder.
Definitely a touch harder.
We had to push right to the end, didn't we, with our game for the full 4 quarters.
Yeah, it's whatever happens this weekend, these prelims will go down for some of the best games that we've seen in a long time. One thing, we've got a couple more items to talk about before we wrap up. The one thing I do want to talk about before we get into the Tassie stuff is the Brownlow Medal Monday. So we'll record after the Brownlow Medal.
Yep.
Is it Nix, or do you see a Dawson or an Anderson sort of, or even a Bailey Smith?
I think Bailey Smith will poll crazy well because he's an outside runner. The blonde locks just fly around everywhere. He carries on a little bit, as you know.
He did miss a chunk of games though.
Yeah, how many has he missed?
I think didn't he miss like, I want to say 3 games, but like he's probably polling 3 anyway in multiple games.
Can still potentially win it from that. I think Nick's going to be up there again. I'm just not confident that he's 100% going to win it as well. So you got Geelong up there, Brisbane. Lachie Neale sort of probably didn't have the year that he normally would have either. Who else up there gets votes? Zach Bailey probably gets some votes with the way he plays. Potentially, he's dynamic and kicks goals as well. But I can't see too many sort of standing out from Brisbane, even though they had a sensational year. Is there someone from Adelaide finishing?
Dawson could finish pretty high.
Yeah.
I admittedly, obviously, didn't watch a lot of Adelaide games, but he's captain, so he's been the main man to get him through. I'm thinking, with the Suns, Anderson and Rowell are probably stealing votes off each other
potentially
as well.
But it could be that, the West Coast thing where Judd and Cousins get heaps of votes. Judd wins a Brownlow, Cousins gets a heap, and Kerr gets a heap too.
Yeah.
If they're getting the full 3 votes every week,
True.
It opens it right up. And there's a lot of people talking about Sheasel at the moment at North, but they just haven't won enough games, have they?
I don't. Yeah.
Would they be prepared to, when he gets a 35 possession game and lose? Would they be umpires prepared to give him 3 votes? Do you think?
Surely not, right? Like, I'd love to see the statistics.
But it is a best on ground award.
But but we know that the umpires don't really care. Like, how many times? Like, look.
Well, they used to do it with Bobby Skilton back in the day. Well, we want to go back that far, but the umpires are a bit different.
Well, that's it. But like, look at Cripps last year. He broke the all-time Brownlow Medal count. What did he have? 45. There's no way Cripps was a 45 vote player.
Ridiculous.
That's what I'm. So like, anything can happen in the Brownlow.
Yeah.
Like because they don't go off stats and they're just going off recency bias of the last 2 quarters, let's say, anything, literally anything.
Bulldogs obviously had some wins, and
Bontempelli's. I know he missed a chunk at the start, but he could poll really well. He always does poll well. It's going to be. We could even see a tie. We could see. I'll take anything. I'd rather a Nick North-Smith.
I hope that Nick wins it. In some ways, I hope that he doesn't, because I thought about having a little bit on Collingwood to win the flag into Nick Dacos win the Brownlow right at the start of the year, and that was big odds, but. That would be an absolute travesty if that happens. Which we hope it happens.
We hope it happens. We saw Dane Swan in 2010 get robbed of a Brownlow and go on to win a flag. So anything. I still have. I'm not a betting man, but I still have money on Nick Dacos to just pipe, and that could be just Collingwood biased, because he's been the best player in the game the last 2 years in a row, and he hasn't.
Well, I think he's had some games this year with not as many possessions, but more impact as well. And
he's had some really bad games as well.
Yeah.
But again, absolutely anything can happen.
Yeah. But whether you play an okay game or a crap game, you still get 0 votes.
Exactly.
That doesn't matter.
Exactly right. You're a Tassie man.
I certainly
You're
am.
a Tassie man, a proud Tasmanian.
Very proud Tasmanian, yes.
The commission, the Tasmanian Planning Commission, came out and said that the Macquarie Point Stadium, they don't recommend it to be built because the benefits don't outweigh. What's the opposite of non-benefits? The non-benefits.
Yeah. So with them saying they don't recommend it, is that pulling the pin on it?
Well, I think it has to go to a vote at the in the Senate or whatever it is. But the Planning Commission don't. Planning Commission don't recommend it.
Yeah.
The license is built on this stadium.
Yeah.
Nathan Buckley is apparently going to be the inaugural coach.
Yeah.
They've been given the all clear to play in the VFL and the VFLW next season.
Yeah.
How do you feel as a Tasmanian with the commission?
There's just been so much, stuff behind the scenes going on with all this the whole way through. The Greenies obviously are not behind it.
Yeah.
Of course, they're not going to. But like we said before, the Greenies are real Greenies in Tassie. They do their job well, which we don't like. Whereas over here, they're a bit more fraudulent over this side of town, on the mainland. But the whole way through, there was always this 1%, 5% thing that might not happen the whole way through. And talk about the roof. If you don't get a roof, you don't get a side. Now they're talking about. I don't know where this has all come from, because this is just fresh info.
This is literally just fresh info.
I'll get on the phone to Alistair Lynch this afternoon and I'll find out what's going on.
What is going on?
And give you a little bit more information on this, because sometimes they just make it work a little bit harder, and you just got to find another way or another avenue to get something done. But they've come so far. You think about the staff members they've already got on, the memberships that they've put in place.
There's just no way
the plans, the money that's already gone into getting this far. There, and Brendan Gale's down there doing his thing, getting everything organised. Got a VFL coach now.
Yep.
It's all the planning's there. They're going ahead as if it's 100% going to happen, even though there's always that 1% chance it might not. So. I don't know what this means.
Yeah,
because it's
just so fresh.
That's the recommendation. It doesn't mean just because it's a recommendation doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So let me find out more and get back to you, because this is a bit worrying. But hopefully there's not too much in it.
Fingers crossed. We want to see Tassie. They deserve a club. Well, they've got a club, but they just deserve to be in the AFL. Look, before we wrap up, what are your final thoughts on this huge prelim game? It's you're going to be marching down from the AIA Centre with the Army. What's going to happen?
I think I'll be marching with the Army. I'm just going to head in with Sarita and go to do the MCC thing. And just looking forward to getting some really good positioning seats and watching this game. I feel like it's going to be a war of attrition right up until the last quarter. I think we might run away with it. I'm tipping about 17 points. By the end. But I feel like it's going to be tough the whole way through. They're an unbelievable team, and they've got a good coach in Chris Fagan, my old mate. So good luck, Fags. Not too much luck. What about yourself, mate? Where do you think this game goes?
Yeah, I'm feeling that as well. Like I'm pretty confident just because of the way that we played against Adelaide, that last quarter against Melbourne, and even Adelaide previously as well. I think the rest really helps us.
Yep.
We've seen historically through this season when we have had a big rest, a 9-day rest or a week's rest, our players come up really well. Gives another week into Howie to get his fitness in.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be like an 8-9 point game to the Pies. And then, I would love to sit back and have a 7-goal win, but I just can't see that happening. Look, stranger things have happened, and Brisbane will just, both these teams are going to leave no stone unturned. That's the whole thing, right? No stone unturned, and that's why I think we just need to roll the dice with some of these players.
Yeah. Because
you don't want your season to end this weekend.
No.
You want to be playing
that's right.
next week, and you want all that. We've and the thing is, we've been here before. I know Brisbane have been here, but they recently were here.
Yeah.
Last year. But the way that the Pies are, the way that they're run, I just think it's going to be an incredible game.
It will be,
and we'll win. I just want to give a quick shout out to my brother. It's his Bucks party on Saturday.
Oi.
I'm in the bridal party. Do
I get an invite to this thing?
Bit upset with me that I'm not going to be there for the whole thing.
Yeah, okay.
Going to a lunch, going to mini golf.
Yeah.
Then going to the footy.
Oh yeah.
Then after the footy,
they'll still be out.
Win or loss,
that,
win or loss, and going back and going to be drinking and partying with them.
Yeah.
But I love you, Justin. And I'll make it up to you, and we'll get on it on Saturday night. Win or loss.
Celebrate afterwards.
Yeah, that's it.
Is he a Pies man too? Is he?
Yeah. He's a younger brother. He's a good man. He's he's gonna be celebrated on Saturday, and I can't wait to get there. Awesome. And hopefully celebrating two good
luck,
things.
Justin.
Yeah,
all
upcoming wedding, and I'll let you know where the kick-ons are, and we can
let me know. It might be a chance if we get it.
Here we go, Dutchy, mate.
All right, mate.
It's exciting.
Oh, come on!
Let's go! Woo! See ya.